dreaming of an international adventure. Maybe, you're picturing a wedding somewhere amazing, like Italy.
Or maybe you landed that great job offer overseas, say in Spain.
Right. Or you just need to handle some important legal stuff abroad, buying property maybe.
Yeah, making those big moves often means, dealing with paperwork. Lots of it.
Definitely. And specifically, getting your U.S. documents recognized in another country, that can feel like climbing a mountain sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let's dig into this.
Yeah.
Today we're looking at something really key, for a lot of folks planning these kinds of international steps. It's called the Single Status Affidavit.
And crucially, why you might need this specific thing called an apostille for it. We've gone through quite a few sources on this.
We have.
And it's fascinating, really, how something seemingly simple, like confirming you're not married, suddenly becomes super important and needs complex hoops jumped through once you cross a border.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll explore what this single status statement actually is, why other countries care so much about it.
And the specific process, which can be tricky for getting it authenticated so it actually works where you need it to.
And we're going to focus in on how this works if your document is from Massachusetts.
Right.
Our mission. Cut through the confusion, basically. Help you understand the why and the how of apostilling this form so you feel, prepared, not totally overwhelmed.
Let's do it. So the basics first. What is a single status statement?
Good question.
Well, according to the materials, it's an official declaration. It verifies you're unmarried at a specific time.
So like a sworn statement saying, yep, I'm single, or divorced, or widowed, I guess.
Exactly. Basically confirming there's no legal reason you couldn't get married, for example.
And it goes by a few different names too, right? I saw things like Certificate of No Impediment.
Uh-huh. Or Affidavit of Single Status, Certificate of Freedom to Marry.
All meaning the same thing. I'm legally free to marry or handle other stuff requiring single status.
Precisely. And while that sounds straightforward, many foreign governments demand this. The sources really stressed its importance if you're applying for a marriage license abroad. They need proof you're eligible before they'll issue that license. It's about their laws, preventing bigamy, that kind of thing.
So that dream destination wedding hits this paperwork wall pretty quick. You're ready for the I do, but the local office needs proof first.
That's a big one. But it's not just marriage, though that's common. Our sources also mentioned it can pop up in other legal situations, maybe buying property in some places, or residency applications.
Or even citizenship or visa stuff.
Potentially, yeah. If your life takes you abroad, proving your marital status can be, fundamental for various official things.
Okay, so not just weddings. Expats, people moving for work, handling personal business could trigger this need.
Right, and the document itself, it usually needs your basic info name, birth date, address.
Standard stuff.
And that sworn statement saying you're single. Critically, it often needs to be
a notary public. Okay.
And sometimes, depending on the country, maybe even certified by a state or county official before it goes anywhere else.
Got it. So let's get practical. How do you actually get this form? Especially focusing on Massachusetts documents.
Okay, for Massachusetts, the sources are pretty clear. You usually go to your local city or town clerk's office.
Where they keep the vital records.
Exactly. And the key thing, our sources hammered home. Tell them you need it for international use.
So they give you the right version or follow the right procedure.
Precisely. You don't want the standard domestic version if it's going overseas.
And you probably need to bring some ID, right?
Oh, definitely. Be ready with government-issued photo ID, driver's license, passport.
Makes sense.
They might also ask for proof you actually live in that town. And, importantly, if you were married before...
You need proof it ended.
Yes. A certified copy of the divorce decree, or a death certificate if you're widowed. They need to verify the basis of your current single status.
Right. Okay. So you get the form, bring your docs, then you fill it out.
Fill it out completely, accurately, truthfully. You're swearing to it. Then, the crucial next step, before thinking international... Notarization. Get it notarized by a licensed notary public. They verify your identity and witness your signature. This is a must.
Okay, so town hall for form with docs. They'll fill out form, notarize form. Done. Now, why isn't that enough? Why the apostille?
That is the million-dollar question for a lot of people. That notarization, it's mainly for use here in the U.S. It proves your signature's real within our legal system. But for most foreign countries, especially the ones in the Hague Apostille Convention, it needs another layer.
And that layer is the apostille? I've heard that term. What is it technically?
So the sources define it as a specific certificate. It's issued by a designated government authority here, the Secretary of the Commonwealth.
Okay.
And it authenticates the origin of your document for use in those Hague Convention countries. It basically says, yes, the notary who signed this was legit. It confirms the notary's seal and signature are valid.
So if the country you're headed to is in this Hague Club, the apostille is like the universal translator for documents. It says, this is real, accept it.
That's a good way to put it. It simplifies things massively.
Yeah.
Before the Hague Convention, back in 1961, you needed this crazy chain of authentications.
Oh, wow.
County clerk, then state secretary, then U.S. State Department, then the foreign embassy. It was a nightmare.
Wow.
The apostille replaces all that with one certificate. But, and this is key,
Uh-oh.
if the country isn't part of the Hague Convention, and there are still quite a few, you don't get an apostille. You might need that old, complex embassy legalization process.
Okay, so check if the country is a Hague member first. But for the 120 plus that are, the apostille is the way.
Exactly. Big time saver.
And the sources mentioned Italy and Spain are huge for this, especially for weddings. Just shows how common it is.
Absolutely. Okay, so you have your notarized single status form. How do you get the actual apostille?
It doesn't sound like just mailing it in, maybe.
It can be complex. This is where mistakes happen. You have to submit it to the right higher authority.
Which in Massachusetts is?
The Secretary of the Commonwealth's office. That's the designated authority here.
Okay.
They're the ones who verify your notary was legit. They check the signature, the seal, the commission dates, make sure everything's perfect according to state law.
And if it is?
Then they physically attach the official apostille certificate to your document.
So, town hall, then notary, then the state government. Layers.
Definitely layers. And potential points of failure if the first steps weren't done right.
And there's a cost, I bet.
Yep. Government services usually have fees. The sources say in Massachusetts, it's $150 per document for standard processing.
Okay, $150. What about speed, if you're in a hurry?
They do offer expedited service, but that costs extra. The sources didn't specify the exact expedited fee, but expect to pay more for faster handling.
Got it. $150 standard, more for rush. What else do they need besides the document and the money?
You usually need to fill out their specific cover sheet or application form.
Makes sense.
That asks for your contact info, payment details, and this is important, the name of the country where you'll be using the document.
Why do they need the country?
The apostille itself actually states the country it's intended for, so you need to tell them where it's going.
Oh, okay. And how long does this state part take? Standard processing.
Well, the sources gave a range, usually somewhere between 5 and 15 business days.
So 1 to 3 weeks, roughly.
Roughly. But they also caution that's an estimate. It can vary depending on how busy they are. If you have a tight deadline,
Pay for expedited.
pay for expedite, definitely.
Okay, so town hall, notary, secretary of the Commonwealth, with form, fee, destination, country info. Wait 1-3 weeks or pay more for faster. I can see how this gets confusing and stressful.
Oh, absolutely. And the sources really highlighted common problems people run into. A big one, submitting a document where the notarization is wrong.
Like what?
Missing stamp, wrong date, maybe the notary's commission expired. Little things that seem minor, but will get it rejected flat out by the state office.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So you waste all that time just to be sent back.
Exactly. Back to square one, needing a new notarization. Very frustrating.
What else goes wrong?
Sometimes delays happen because the destination country has extra rules, even after you get the apostille.
Like needing a translation.
That's a common one, yes.
Yep.
Getting a certified translation done takes more time, more money, another step you might not have planned for.
Oh.
And just, running out of time. One mistake, bad notarization, unexpected state delay, and suddenly your wedding date or your job start date is at risk.
Yeah, that's a huge problem if you're on a schedule. Jeopardizes the whole reason you're doing this.
Totally. These potential issues, the strict rules, it really shows why knowing the process inside and out matters, or having someone who does.
So with all these steps, the fees, the potential for errors and delays, it sounds like a real headache. Is there like a way to make this smoother, especially for folks here in Massachusetts?
Well, that's where it gets interesting for Massachusetts residents. The sources we looked at point to a specific solution designed to, handle all this complexity for you. Massachusetts-apostilleservices.com.
Oh, okay. Tell me about them. How do they help?
So, according to the sources, they offer a full, streamlined service. Their whole focus is Massachusetts apostilles.
So they know the system here inside out.
Exactly. They handle everything, including, crucially, reviewing your document first to make sure the notarization is correct before it even goes to the state.
That catches those errors up front, saves you that rejection cycle.
Precisely. That alone can save weeks. Then they handle the actual submission to the Secretary of the Commonwealth's office for you.
So they're like your expert guide, taking the tricky parts off your plate.
That's the idea. Their expertise minimizes errors, speeds things up, and makes sure your document meets the destination country's specific needs.
What are the main benefits the sources listed for using a service like this?
Several key things. First, accuracy that pre-check to ensure everything's right before submission. Avoids rejections. It's huge.
Second, expedited services, they often get faster turnarounds, sometimes just 1 to 5 business days, because they do this constantly. Great for urgent needs.
Wow, 1 to 5 days is quick.
Yeah. Third, comprehensive support. They basically guide you end to end, handling the state interactions, saving you time and, frankly, a lot of stress.
And they mentioned translation help, too.
They did. They can connect you with certified translators if the destination country requires it after the apostille, so they cover that potential extra step, too.
Okay, so they really aim to be a one-stop shop for this. The sources called them a trusted partner, right?
Yes, that was the phrasing. They handle the bureaucracy so you can focus on, the wedding plans or the big move.
Makes sense, because without that correct authentication, the apostilles for Hague countries or maybe legalization for others?
Right. Your single status form just won't be accepted, no matter how perfectly you filled it out.
And that can cause major delays, legal problems, just when you need things to go smoothly.
Absolutely. Derail your whole plan. Yeah, you really don't want your dream trip or move stopped by paperwork. Getting that document authenticated right is vital, like the sources said, for a smooth journey.
It truly is. And while apostilling might seem complicated,
it does.
The good news is there are services specifically designed to help, especially here in Massachusetts.
So for anyone listening in Massachusetts who needs this wedding, move. Whatever the sources gave, contact info from MassachusettsApostilleServices.com. You can call them, get a free consultation.
Yep, the number is 978-424-4629. That's 978-424-4629 for a free chat about your situation.
Or if you're local to Tewksbury, you can actually go see them.
That's right. Their office is at 1215 Main Street, Tewksbury, MA 01876, 1215 Main Street in Tewksbury. Or you can book online, too.
And they say they can streamline it, guarantee a smooth start. Sounds like a really valuable resource for cutting through that red tape.
It seems like it. Give you that peace of mind, lets you move forward confidently.
So, bottom line, if you're planning any big life step taking you outside the U.S.,
marriage, job, property,
understanding and handling documents, like the Single Status Affidavit, getting that apostille, it's not just a maybe. It's essential.
It's a small step here that makes a huge difference over there. Foundational, really.
Absolutely. Which kind of makes you think, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, in this world where we cross borders so much for personal reasons, how much do we rely on these, specific, sometimes complicated international stamps like the apostille, just to make our personal lives legally valid everywhere?
That's a deep thought. It seems we rely on them a whole lot. They're the bridges between different legal systems for our most personal events, like marriage.
Huge amount. And having the right help to navigate that bridge clearly makes all the difference. Well, that was our deep dive into the single status apostille in Massachusetts.